CBSE Board, Class 11, History, Chapter 2, Part 31, Audio by Renee Matthew. Most of the rulers of the Arab Islamic State understood that learning and gaining knowledge will fetch them prestige. They will rise up to the standard of a scholar if they encouraged all these things. And one such person was Mahmud of Ghazni, who encouraged anthologies, divans, epic poetry, matnavi. These things were encouraged. And one of the most outstanding book or the work which won lot of recognition was Firdausi, that is dated 1020. He was a person who actually took 30 years to complete a particular work, and the name of the work is Shahnameh. The meaning of the title is Book of Kings. It is an epic of 50,000 couplets. It is a style of writing. Couplet is a style of verse which was used in literature. And it was also a masterpiece of Islamic literature. Which was the masterpiece of Islamic literature? Shahnameh, Book of Kings by Firdausi. Now what is exactly the Shahnameh? It is a collection of traditions and legends, lot of traditions and legends. The most popular of these recording is that of Rustam. It actually is very poetic, and it also gives an overview of Iran, especially from creation till the Arab conquest. We know that the empire of Iran flourished till the Arabs conquered them. Sasanian Empire, right? It flourished. Byzantine and Sasanian empires were two empires which the whole world actually feared them. And that is something very important of this work, where Iran was depicted from the creation up to the annexation by the Arabs. The second most important point of this work is it was keeping up with the Ghaznavid tradition. What was the Ghaznavid tradition? It is that a Persian later, any Persian for that matter, became the language of administration and culture in India, especially people who spoke this language, people who actually got involved, and the language itself was given credit. So Persian became the language of administration and culture in India. So that is why this work was really very important when it came to the Arab literature. There's another work which is a catalogue. The name of this work is Kitab al-Fihrist. It is of a Baghdad bookseller. The bookseller's name is Ibn Nadim. And what does this particular book describe? It is a compilation of large number of works which is using the prose style. What is prose? Something which is not poetry. The essays, the novels, and all the normal writings, even a paragraph if you write, that is prose. So it describes a large number of works in prose, which was mainly to educate the people morally. Along with moral education, it also amused the readers. It was a kind of entertainment. The oldest work in this particular collection of Arab literature is the Animal Fables. The title of the Animal Fables is Kalila wa Dimna. The meaning is, it is names of two jackals. The characters are two jackals who were the leading characters, and along with other animals in that particular book. These are fables. Fables are a genre in literature which always will have animals as a character. It will also have a moral by the end of the story. Okay, that is the meaning of a fable. That is why they have got animals as character. And this Kalila wa Dimna was the Arabic translation of a Pahlavi version. That is the old language of Arabs, especially of Iranians. Do you remember that? And that got transformed into Persian, one forms of Persian. And it was a Pahlavi version of the Panchatantra which we have in India, the Arabic translation. So if you get hold of Panchatantra tales, you will have a similarity with the Arabic translation of what we see here. The most widespread and the most widely circulated one, which is really a lasting literary work, are the stories and the heroic adventures of so many great people, which include definitely Alexander and Sindbad. or those of the unhappy lovers such as Case. Case is known as Majnun or the madman. So all these things we have got the translation in English also. One is of Alexander and Sindbad, then unhappy lovers, the Case, and Majnun, the madman. So they have developed over the centuries into oral and written tradition. So these got developed. We have got the abridged versions also now where even children can read and understand the depth of these stories. And that is how we got all these stories from the Arabic literature. And we also talked about this particular work, The 1001 Nights. It is a collection of stories which is told by a single narrator. And the narrator is very famous, Shahzad. And Shahzad is narrating the whole story to her husband night after night. Every night, she will keep on narrating the story to her husband. So that is why it is 1001 Nights, very famous all over the world, not only in Arabic literature. So I've put the pictures of all these works, the catalog Kitab al-Fihrist of Ibn Nadim. This is Ibn Nadim, and this is the work, Kitab al-Fihrist. This is a copy or a title page of Panchtantra if you haven't heard of it. It is still available in the market. The Animal Fables book cover is given here, Khalila wa Dimna. So many book covers are there which depicts the same theme, but this is one of the covers which is given on the screen. Now, the collection was originally in Indo-Persian, okay, and later it was translated into Arabic. We are talking about 1001 Nights. Do you remember that was the last thing we discussed? So it was originally written in Indo-Persian and it was translated into Arabic because Arabic was widely used. It was widely used in Arabic. That's why they translated it into Arabic in Baghdad, especially in the 8th century. And many stories after that got added in Cairo. It was a part of Cairo tradition during the Mamluk period because so many things happened in Egypt in Cairo, right? So many were actually added in Cairo later as a compilation of 1001 Nights. The compilation was done in Cairo during the Mamluk period, okay? Now these stories generally, because this wife is narrating the story to the husband, so it depicts the human beings of different types, characteristics of different types, the way human beings are, people that you actually find around you, like the generous, the stupid, the gullible, okay, people who get easily changed, they are ready to change, they are very vulnerable, the crafty people, the shrewd people. And they were all told to educate and entertain. So when you get to know about a person who is really bad, you will also not fall into that trap. You will have an idea of people who are around you. So in Kitab al-Bukhala, that is Book of Misers, there is a person known as Jahiz of Basra. He wrote a book known as Kitab al-Bukhala. He collected many anecdotes. They are very short writings which actually are thought-provoking. Okay, it is a way of making fun of people, and also humor is also used sometimes, but it is always something which incites thought into the readers. And it is usually about misers, and also it analyzed the greed. You need a lot of skill to understand anecdotes because they are very short. It is not at all like the jokes that you read, but similar to the humor, the satire, there is biting satire also. Biting humor is also there in anecdotes. So that was the skill of Jahiz of Basra. All this happened in the 8th century, and from the 9th century what happened? The scope of adab was expanded. We also saw about the adab earlier, right? So scope of adab, that is biographies, manuals of ethics. The term for that is akhlaq, mirrors for princes, books on statecraft, and above all history, tariq and geography. All these things were compiled and it was the scope of adab. This comes under this particular title. What was the real importance of history? Why history was very important? The tradition was there. People used to write history, people used to read history, and it was really well established, especially in literate Muslim societies. People took so much of pain and passion to read through the history, through their past and everything. So a way of connecting with your present is to know a great deal about your past, and that is why we all are history students, right? So history books were read by scholars and students as well, both as private copies and also in public where they held discussions. They had a lot of discussions and critical analysis on these things. Now, what about the rulers and officials? How history was important for the rulers and officials? What actually history did? It is a recording. It is a sequence about the glories and achievements of a dynasty, how a dynasty evolved, what happened to the dynasty to fall, or the economic, political, and all the changes which took place in a dynasty. Those were the examples of the techniques of administration. So when you read history, you get to know about the way people ruled and organized things. It's not that you're getting ready to rule people. When you read history, there is a planning which is formed in your mind, and that is very important for you to go forward with organizing in the future, whether it is studies, whether it is your life, and all these things. There are two major historical works which gained a lot of importance. Those works are Anzab al-Ashraf, that is the first one. The meaning of this particular title is Genealogies of the Nobles of Baladuri. Okay, that's the first one. The second one is Tariq al-Rusul wal-Muluk. Okay, and the meaning of that title is History of Prophets and Kings of Tabari. The place names are also there and in this particular title, and it belonged to this person, these people wrote it. The whole of human history is recorded, and it was treated with the Islamic period as the focal point. So Islamic period actually gave a lot of focus and importance to these works, where people really read it. Not just ordinary people, but even rulers and officials gave so much of importance to genealogies of the nobles and history of prophets and kings, because they will get to know about how people administered, and they really need it. So why I'm telling you to read these things now is, if you get to access administration from the historical point of view, it will only help you to go through the techniques of administration, which gives an organized skill in people. Now, what was the tradition of local history? That also developed. When people started reading from the past, the tradition of local writing also improved. With the breakup of the caliphate actually broke up. The local history also gained a lot of prominence. That is, with the breakup of the caliphate. The caliphate or the dynasties, everything started falling down by now. There were a lot of books which were written in Persian, especially about dynasties, cities or regions, and that was to explore the union between the people, the variety, the diversity. Though people were bonded by the religion, by Muslims, by the religion of Islam, they were diverse in nature, because so many people from different places all over the world came and settled in the Arabic world, right, in the Arab Islam world. So unity was there because there were Islams, and variety was also there. It was experienced by these people. Now, geography and travel, Rihla, that was a kind of special branch of adab. What did it do? It actually combined knowledge from Greek, Iranian, and Indian books. So knowledge was gathered from all these books with the observation of merchants and travelers. It was a special branch of adab, geography and travel, where all these things were combined, and that too with the observation of merchants and travelers. Okay, that is geography and travel. The next one is mathematical geography. The inhabited world, that is the present world, was divided into 7 climes, singular iklim. Okay, 7 parts or 7 regions, and that was parallel with the equator, corresponding to our 3 continents. So that was a kind of mathematical expression used to divide the world into 7 climes, right? Geography and travel was for helping the merchants and travelers to get better with their traveling and all those experiences, and that is why it was taken further. So these 2 points under the literature, Arabic literature, is very important.